Calling from a 305 area code. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello?
Is that me?
Yes. Who is this?
Hi, Sam. My name is Itamar. I'm calling from Florida.
I'm sorry. What's your first name?
Itamar. It's an Israeli
Itamar?
name.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm recently immigrated to the United States from Israel. And obviously I'm very depressed at what happened on Saturday. I never believed that something like that could happen in the United States, you know. And I wanted to, I saw Ron Dermer yesterday, the Israeli ambassador to the United States, which is, who is like he's like a Bibi's puppet.
Yeah.
And he was praising Trump. He said, "Oh, Trump denounced this act. He used like some of the strongest words I ever heard from a leader." And that made me so pissed, really, because Bibi is like, he's one of the worst. I mean, it's this new axis of evil. He's one of the worst.
I agree with you. Look, I mean, and when we talk about promoting this right wing fever dream that Soros is, you know, sort of trying to drive these caravans up to the United States, ostensibly to destroy, U.S. white culture. Here is a story from Breitbart from April 2018. I don't know if you have this one, but here it is. It is a picture of Soros, Netanyahu. Soros-backed New Israel Fund seeking to, quote, erase Israel's Jewish character. It's the same story. We just completely.
Just a while back.
Yeah, this is back in April.
No, just a while back. I think it was last year. There's like 40,000 African refugees in Israel. And Bibi reached a decent agreement with governments in Europe to send some of the refugees there and spread them around Israel. Like half of them spread around Israel, half of them sent to the U.S., to Europe to resettle. And he canceled that agreement because he got heat from let's say, Judeo-Nazis in Israel. And then he said he blamed Soros for that. So he's spewing the same right-wing rhetoric in Israel. And I mean, I follow David Simon on Twitter, the creator of The Wire, and he spent the last week just arguing with Israelis on Twitter because it was like, fuck Bibi, fuck Naftali Bennett, the education minister. We don't want you here. And he got so much heat from Israelis, like, oh, how dare you compare the two. They're the same.
Yeah.
They're the same. I was a teacher for 7 years in Israel. I'm telling you, the younger generation is like a mirror image of the generation in the United States. They're much, much, much less open, much less liberal, and very racist, I'll have to say, very racist towards Arab and towards non-Jews. I mean, the kids in Israel now are frankly ignorant about anything that has to do with, liberal democracy and liberal democratic culture.
Right.
To hear Ron Dermer yesterday praising Trump, like he's the greatest leader for the American Jews and stuff, I was sick to my stomach. And another thing that there was a caller before me that said, "Can you settle for me the fact that Ivanka is Jewish?" I will settle it for if you want. There are Jewish anti-Semites. I'm not saying she's an anti-Semite. I don't think she's that sophisticated for that. But there are Jewish anti-Semites. There's a philosopher, Yeshayahu Leibovich, I don't know if you heard of him. He coined the phrase Judeo-Nazis in the 60s. And he was talking about the mentality of Nazism, of a mentality, not necessarily the praxis, but the mentality of Nazism, which started in Israel after the occupation, but now I have to say the cancer has grown so big And if you ask kids today in Israel if they think the Jews are special, if they think that Jews have superior blood, a lot of them would agree. So the Nazi mentality,
right.
the Judeo-Nazis are. I mean, Israel will deny.
BB's son
to
shares
Jew
this stuff. I mean, directly, right?
Would deny entry. Sorry.
Itamar, I appreciate BB's son, is sort of like a Donald Trump Jr.
I mean, he literally shares this stuff, right? I mean, what you're talking about is shared by the prime minister's son.
Itamar, I appreciate I appreciate the perspective. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, man. You have the best show.
All right, thank you, man. Call back.
And I really would look at, again, he's a very complicated figure, but Ehud Olmert in another interview just a couple days ago again said, and it's a bit self-serving, but he's like, I was taken down by Sheldon Adelson, and he explicitly said right-wing Jews who did not want a deal.
Yeah.
And there's truth.
Of course.
There's a huge amount of truth to that. And they did it partially. It was an analog version of fake news. It's a free right-wing newspaper that Adelson flooded the country with. And part of the criminal investigation
that he owned, right?
That he owns.
Yeah.
And part of the criminal investigation with Bibi right now is trading media monopoly favors for good coverage.
So who better to defend Donald Trump on charges of anti-Semitism when Donald Trump gets up there and talks about, the globalists. That's rich. The globalists with their parentheses.
Globe emoji.
And I read earlier this piece from someone at the Southern Poverty Law Center, an African-American, who wrote this piece about how anti-Semitism animates white nationalism, right? It's the Jew who actually allows. I mean, the reason why African-Americans have any rights and the reason why women are ascendant in our society, the explanation for why the superior race of white people cannot completely subjugate everyone else is because there's an inside mole. There's someone inside who is undercutting the white supremacy, and that's the Jew. And that is the role that anti-Semitism plays in white supremacy and white nationalism in this country anyways, and maybe internationally. I mean, there is actually a history of anti-Semitism in Europe. I'm not sure people are aware of this. But who better to speak to the complete absence of anti-Semitism in the Bush administration than the guy who wears the lapel pin from the Order of Vitesse, which is a Hungarian nationalist group that was active from 1920 to 1944. It's an homage, right? Their leadership apparently was very eager to help Adolf Eichmann, who was the guy in charge of the trains and transportation of the Jews, in sending 400,000 Hungarian Jews to Auschwitz. So who better to speak about the complete lack of anti-Semitism in the Trump administration?
First, I'd like to point out the facts to them. Donald Trump's grandchildren are Orthodox Jews. His daughter converted to Judaism. Donald Trump is the first president in 23 years to keep our nation's promise to the people of Israel and to recognize Jerusalem as its capital and to move our embassy. So those are the facts. The only thing that is evil in this instance is the man who perpetrated this massacre and the anti-Semitism that he was propagating. Also, note that we now know from his social media that the perpetrator of this massacre hated the president as well. So we've got to stop the people who are exploiting tragedy for their own political purposes.
Right. We've got to continue to laud those people who are promoting future tragedies for their own political gain. And yes, this guy, this shooter, thought that Trump was actually not the nationalist that he claims he is. He's actually a globalist, even though he said this the other day. And of course, here, this is what Trump said.
Radical Democrats want to turn back the clock toward the rule of corrupt, power-hungry globalists. You know what a globalist is, right? You know what a globalist is. A globalist is a person that wants the globe to do well, frankly, not caring about our country so much. And you know what? We can't have that. You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
So the idea that this shooter hated Donald Trump was exactly the same function that Donald Trump is using there, right? I'm a nationalist. They're globalists. They're controlling things. This guy completely bought into that dynamic. It's just that he thought that Trump was actually controlled by those people. He was a false nationalist. And that the Jews were actually acting upon him. But still, the idea that he was influenced by Trump at all is ridiculous. You ask me, am I an anti-Semite? Ask me if I'm an anti-Semite. Ask me if I'm an anti-Semite.
Are you an anti-Semite?
I am not a Marxist.
My father was not a communist.
This is actually a common thing on the alt-right, reportedly. Like, they think that Trump is not sufficiently anti-Semitic.
When I wake up in the morning and I see that that beautiful Ivanka is being handled by that Jew, I literally get sick to my stomach. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we on now? Probably shouldn't have said that.
But they still view him as sort of a useful idiot.
They understand lesser evil voting better than
I was
some
going to
other
say,
people.
they actually have a beautiful talent to understand. I made this point in Idaho.
For them, it's actually more evil.
I made this point in Idaho. They understand the crucial importance of
lesser
more evil
anti-evil
voting.
guys.
Yeah, guys, lesser evil is still less evil.
Take the lesser anti-evil, okay?
Yeah,
Just take
God,
it, you idiots.
I tried to say this to these people in Boise at one panel. I was like, I saw a clip once of a neo-Nazi. Maybe I mentioned this on air before, but he literally said, he's like, I'm not going to say this right before the midterms. I don't think that helps. And I was like, that's fucking beautiful. Right. If only people on my side could learn from that. I admired it so much.